I want to share what I learned from the late Bishop G.E. Patterson about how to take a public loss. In 1996, when the General Board election was held, uh, Bishop G.E. was amongst the three highest vote getters. That was the late former presiding Bishop Chandler David Owens, the presiding Bishop Emeritus, the Bishop Charles Edward Blake Sr., and the late Bishop Gilbert Earl Patterson. So he decided to contest and make himself available for the position of presiding bishop. Somehow I want to think that that was somewhere in the 1 or 2 o'clock hour. And by then, those who worked for Temple Deliverance had gotten word that he was going to go for it all. He was making the big run. So all the employees, as best as they could, I think pastoral assistant, the elder Gregory Askew, did his best to call back and try to keep the forces from coming, and so would the evangelist Otanya Estridge or whoever was around at that time, but none of them had control. When word got out that the election, he was running for it all of the employees somehow found their way down to the convention center. They could not come in, but they were braced on the steps. So the election rolled on, and I just remember the hundreds of people that were coming on, go for it, go for it, go for it, go for it. And then the results came. And it turns out we lost by 1 vote. I remember having a little anger, having a little tears. But the thing that I remembered most was our walk out of the convention center. While hundreds celebrated while he decided to go for it all, we walked out. It was the Bishop Patterson, the Elder Barry Garner, Skip Garner, Donald, what's Donald's last name? Please come to me. Jackie's husband. No, Donald, he works security. His son's doing great. It'll come to me one time. We're getting older, ain't fun. The twins, of course, probably by then, the missionary Otanya Estridge, Pastor Gregory Askew, Minister Antonio Miguel Buckley, Minister Stephen Smith, the Elder Darrell Miles, and at that time, the Superintendent Jerry L. Maynard, and we walked from the convention center. All of those hundreds who thronged, it was a lonely walk. We walked. People might have said, oh, we're behind you still, but they didn't walk with us. It was a lonely walk. And Bishop G.E. Patterson kept right on walking. Now, that's a hard one to take, to come so close and to lose by 1 vote. All the numbers there would probably be almost, that's very contestable. But he knew contesting would probably tear up the church. So he kept walking. He took a public L. Now, there were consequences for that public L, for him contesting the current presiding bishop, which had never been done. There were consequences, such as, his spot on programs. His profile in the church was definitely reduced because they were going to use him quite as much. We had booths rented on the floor of the convention center. And I remember here he is, a nationally known pastor, worldwide known pastor, general board member, and our booth was so far in the corner and so close to the bathroom that we could smell every time they flushed. But he kept right on walking. He took his public L, grit his teeth, focused, recalculated his efforts, and kept right on grinding. Some of our losses that we've taken, public losses, hadn't been by one vote. Some of us have had to grit our teeth, go back to the drawing board, and come back with everything that you got. And I'm speaking that word prophetically even now, because some of us have public losses. They can find your losses online. They can find your losses over here. They can find your losses. They saw you lose. But look, he sat back, accepted the loss, patiently waited, grit his teeth, started grinding again, kept his goal in mind, and 4 years later, the people that laughed at him all of a sudden were celebrating him. I'm even telling you that we used to walk into business establishments owned by the church that were laughing at his loss. And when he won in 2000 as a son of the new presiding bishop, I wanted him to get them all back. This is who they are. Here's the names. This is what they said. And this is what they said in 96. This is what they said 2 weeks ago when they thought you wasn't going to win. Here they are. I had my big old hit list. He said, Smith, he said, that's not what we do. He said, sometimes I like leaving them in place just to be a witness of just how great God can orchestrate a comeback. Look, folks, I'm telling you that some of them folks that pointed their fingers and laughed at you, God just has them there to be a witness about for when that time comes where God makes your thing public, when God makes your manifestation public for all to see. Every now and then he needs certain witnesses to witness the depths that he brought you back from. That's how you take a public L. God, the same God that kept you through a public L, can take you to another place for everybody to see your public victory. You wanted to lose in private and you wanted to win in public. But our God sometimes will allow you to take a public L before he gives you public victory. Be blessed.